I'm Ruthie Dahle and welcome to my channel and welcome to Mental Health Thursdays. This week I want to be talking about the 7 pillars of a relationship, and if you want to know more, then keep on watching. All of my Mental Health Thursday videos are based off of my blog, and I always try to link it down below in the description box just if anybody wants to read more. I wanted to come here today and talk about the 7 pillars of a relationship, and know this, that relationships consist of more than these 7, but if you take these 7 and remove just one pillar, it's going to put a strain on the other 6, and eventually it's going to be a domino effect and your relationship is going to crumble, basically. And the pillars are sex, communication, love, honesty, friendship, compromise, and understanding. Now, I want to talk about these in no particular order. I think I'm just going to follow the order that I wrote on my blog, just so that I can keep my head in check and not talk about the same thing twice. Let's talk about the one thing most people think about the most: sex. Why is sex in a relationship important? Well, engraved in our biological being, sex is something that we need. We need that kind of intimacy that is different from any other kind of intimacy in our relationship. It's a different kind of intimacy that is needed for humans. It's not just a procreational kind of activity. It's something that makes two people connect deeper, I want to say, than any other kind of thing you have going on in your relationship. It's what brings your connection to a deeper dimension, if I want to say. And I'm not talking about the kind of like you just sleep with somebody and then you go about your day, like one night stands. This is not it. Even unserious relationship, this is not it. I'm talking about relationships where you are committed to one another and sex is just the next step for that, or a part of the steps for that. You should never sleep with somebody before you are ready, and that is different from person to person. And I can understand wanting to wait. I'm quite an old-fashioned person, so I understand if you even want to wait until marriage. That is just a personal choice that you have to make for you. But just make sure that it is with somebody that you feel safe with and somebody that you love, because it is making love after all. But a part of this connection for a relationship, it has to be with somebody you see a future with. Because like I said, if not, it's just sex. And it's not the same. The next thing I want to talk about is communication. And this is the one where I feel most relationships struggle the most. And that is basically, I'm doing an example of a man and a woman for this. So just bear with me. One of the reasons why there is communication issues is because we are raised different, we experience different things in life, and we talk in different ways and describe things in with different words. And also, women are wired different than men. This is something that we see in science. But the thing about communication, it's learning the other person's language and how they speak. And this is not a one-way street, people. It's something where if I had a boyfriend, I would learn his language and he would learn mine, so that we can communicate better. But also a part of communication is listening, because if one person is talking, the other one is listening. It's not a conversation, it's a monologue. That's what it is. And so to have that kind of communication, just remember to learn each other's languages. And if you're not sure what a person means, even if you've been together for like 5 to 10 plus years, ask, what do you mean? And then maybe say, this is how I understand what you just said. And if this is what you mean, then we are okay. But if you mean something else, please explain it in a different way that I can understand. And you don't have to be mad about it, mean about it. You don't have to be bitching about it. You just need to have a communication where I am not clear on what you just said. Can you please elaborate? Just take it like that, and you're gonna learn what the other person means and what words they like to use in different scenarios. and that is going to improve on your communication. But for the listening part, so many people don't know how to listen because they have an answer ready for the first part of what a person said instead of the whole thing. And so that basically chops off the conversation completely. And I think it's important to sit back and listen. You can have like a few pointers that you want to talk about in the back of your head, but you want to add on to that as they're saying something, and then maybe the conversation, what they're saying takes a different turn than you first thought, and then you have to kind of like disregard the first thought you had and come up with a new one. But don't be ready with an answer of something, adding on something, until you have heard them finish talking. That is so important. Don't interrupt. If you really do have to interrupt, you can be polite about it instead of just barging in. If there's something you want clarification on, if somebody's telling a story, you can say, wait a minute, do you mean so and so and so with such and such a thing? And then you let them talk and finish. You just want clarification on that specific point. I think in a conversation with friends, I think that is okay. With the strangers, I would want to hold off into the end just to let them talk, finish, because people do get distracted when they're talking, and they might forget the point that they had in the beginning. So ideally wait until they're finished, but if you really can't wait, interrupt on the small things, not the big things. They will, maybe if you let them finish talking, that one thing will make sense, you know? Next thing up is love. In today's society, we like to say that now that sex is easier to get, love is harder to find, and that is so very, very true. And a part of this is because so many people don't know what love really is. A lot of us think that having a crush or affection for somebody, or liking somebody, or being used to having them around is the same feeling as love. And let me tell you, it is not the same. One of the reasons why love is so hard to understand what that feels like is because it's so hard to describe. Because love feels different for each and every person on this planet. Love feels different. And so to describe it, it's difficult. Because what is love to me is different for you. And we even have different love languages, which makes it harder but better because there are varieties. It's not like one boring thing, you know? It's changing, it's moving, it's broadening. The thing about having love in your relationship is that you love them no matter what. I don't care if they are idiots and they do stupid things, but you love them still. And it's not the same kind of love that you have as a parent towards a child, because it's not the same. You didn't give birth to your husband, or your husband didn't give birth to you, you know? It's not the same, but at the same time, you do love them even if they do stupid things or say stupid things. The thing about love in a relationship is that you learn what the other person prefers. Because love is not just about what you can receive, it's about what you can give. Love is a two-way street. And so you need to learn what the other person likes, what they prefer as their love language, not the love language that they tend to give. And I think it's also important that even if you have two completely different love languages, you can appreciate the other person's love language. Let's say you actually have a need for affection, but your love language is to give service, you know? And so the other person would then have to be okay with you serving them, but they give you affection. But then what is their love language? Maybe that is something else in the categories. I forget all of the 5 love languages. So then you have to give them 2 things, and then they give you 2 things, you know, because one of them is natural to them, and then the other is what you would want from them. Just remember, in love, to give and to take. It's not a one-way street. So the next thing is honesty. And I think it's funny how honesty is seen as a weakness when it's just a vulnerability. Being honest is being vulnerable. It's telling things the way they are. Now, you don't have to be mean about it. You can sit a person down and say things the way they are. And I do recommend that you take it when you are alone, so you don't embarrass the person, because again, in a relationship, if you love them, you don't want to embarrass them unless it's a joke that you both like to do. But for honesty, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be shouting across the room, you got something between your teeth, you know. I know that's a minor thing, but this happens to people and it's not okay. I think it's when you're being honest in a relationship, you tell the truth, and you have to be vulnerable. You have to like put yourself out there, and no matter the reaction of the other person, and I think if you really love them, no matter what they say, you will take it with a little bit of understanding of their point of view. And honesty, it opens both your hearts to connect on a different level than, let's say, sex or romance or communication. It's a different kind of bond that you have, because you can, with honesty comes trust, because if you don't have honesty, you don't have trust. And I'm not saying like tell all your secrets within 3 months of knowing a person, unless you're comfortable doing so. But I'm saying that you shouldn't hold something back because you don't want to hurt their feelings, because in the long run you are lying, and that is going to hurt more than just telling the truth right away. And it's like taking a bandage off. The pain is sharp, is right there for a little while, and then it goes away. But if you leave it on longer, it might hurt more. So just keep it honest and keep it between the two of you, because a relationship is between the two of you. If there are more people in that relationship, it's not a relationship. It's a soup of disaster. And don't judge the other person for telling the truth, because they're doing so out of love. So have an understanding of their perspective, and that they are saying something because they love you. Now, friendship. A relationship without friendship is not a relationship in my eyes. I like to think that when you are in a relationship with somebody, you think of the future. And for me, when I think of the future and a relationship, I think long term, till death do us part, because I am old fashioned. If you're gonna spend the rest of your life with somebody, you would want that person to be your friend, because your friend is not gonna just love you for your body. It's not just gonna love you for the way you look, you know? Your friend is gonna call you out on your bullshit. Your friend is gonna be there when you're crying. Your friend is gonna care about your feelings and your interests, and they're gonna be truthful, and they're gonna love you no matter what, and they have your back. If somebody just loves your body and the way you look, that is not a relationship with love, with friendship, with trust, with anything. It's baseless. It has no foundation. But having friendship in a relationship is what we should all aim for. And it should be your best friend. Somebody you can tell all your secrets to, and somebody that you trust your secrets with. And that is a trust that obviously has to be earned over time, which is why most people don't tell their secrets, all of their secrets right away. It kind of comes and goes as the trust builds. The great thing about friendship is that they know your flaws. They know every dirty little thing about you, and they still stick around. And you want that in a relationship, that somebody who has seen all sides of you and decided like, I'm gonna stick around for this. If you meet somebody and it's romance before friendship, that is perfectly fine. You can have a romantic moment and then build the friendship off of that. That is something you can do. But if you are the kind of person that isn't sure about people, I kind of like the idea of being friends before dating. But at the same time, if somebody comes into your life and it's just a connection, a romantic connection right away, obviously I would suggest building the friendship as you're building the romantic level, so that they are kind of going with each other and they can support each other, basically. The next thing is compromise. Compromise is one thing people hate to do, because we love our little lives, we love our little habits, the way we do things, the way we organize our house, the way we drive, the way we do anything in life. Really, we're so used to being ourselves on our own. Even if you have family, even if you have dated and never really been single for a long time, you still have a part of you that is just you. And compromising and changing habits and changing things for another person can be hard, but if both people are compromising, it's like saying this, like your hand, his hand, your hand, and you're compromising, you're taking away sections, right? And he's doing the same, and in the end those sections interline, right? So you're taking a few sections over here and then he's taking a few over here, and they can connect and interline. So a compromise is something that happens from both sides, and it's not something that one is always compromising and then eventually one kind of jumps in with a little compromise there, and then one keeps compromising and then you jump in with another compromise. No, it's an equal compromise that doesn't necessarily, it has the same value but it's not the same. For those of you who have kids would know that you treat your kids slightly different because they have different personalities. And it's the same with compromise. You compromise on different things. It's impossible to compromise on the exact same things for the exact same reason, because then you would both be agreeing. Then there would be no need for compromise. But for those things where you're disagreeing and one thing has to give, so let's say this is giving, so they're saying like this person gets their will. That means for another time, this person gets their will over something. And it has to be something of equal value or similar value, I want to say, because if not, if this person is always losing on the compromise, it's not an equal compromise. It has to be kind of equal in the long run. Having understanding. Understanding is very undervalued, and having understanding doesn't necessarily mean you get everything they say or do, but it's having that understanding that they are different than you, they were raised different than you, they have different habits than you, and they like different things than you. And this is not talking about a compromise, it's understanding each other. Being able to see each other as two individual people that have come together to create a relationship. It's understanding that you are two different people and therefore doing different things and liking different things. And it's about being able to have those two individuals share a life, and that means understanding what the person has been through and what their life was like. Even if you don't understand everything, you have an understanding of where they're coming from and where they have been and where they are going. The future is just as important as the past for this. I want to say the understanding kind of goes into the emotional aspect of a relationship, just because everybody, let's say you have both broken a leg, but the pain may not have felt the same for both of you, and the break may not have been the same for both of you. And so if you can have an understanding for how both of you have experienced something, but in slightly different ways, and you don't try to up one another, you just have, okay, this happened to you, this happened to me, and from a I have broken a leg kind of point of view, I can understand how you're feeling, even though my feelings may not be the same as you, and I may not have felt something as much as you did for a broken leg. And that's just an example of many different things, is having the understanding that I understand you, but I may not share the same feeling, So that was the last thing I had to say. And a relationship is supposed to be between two people, not just one person towards the other. And it's something that is a constant work every day, and obviously some days are easier than others, but it is something that you have to work on every single day, from you wake up to you go to bed at night. And it's the little things that you pick up here and there that you kind of have to work on, whether it's the friendship, whether it's the compromise or the communication, the sex, the love, understanding. Any of those aspects need a little tweaking over time, because we as people, even if we are in a relationship and we become more and more similar over time, because that's what happens when you hang out with the same person over a period of time. Even if that happens, we're still two individuals and we do change. And so our understanding has to change with that. Our love has to change with that. And our sex has to change with that. Our friendship has to change with that. And that's something that happens in like normal life. Friendships that you had when you were like 3 years old, it's not exactly the same as today. Even though you're still just as good of friends, the connection is still the same. You have different hobbies, right? You do different things together. And it's the same in a relationship. You grow, and all of these pillars grow with you. If you have all of these 7 pillars, they will help you survive the harder times, because life is a balance and you're gonna have hard times and you're gonna have good times. And if you work really well during the good times, when you have the hard times, you are gonna be floating through it a lot easier because you have the support system that you need for your relationship, the 7 pillars. That is all I had for you today, and if you liked the video, leave a like and a comment down below, and if you want more content like this, then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and you will be notified when I upload a video. I upload my Mental Health Thursday videos every Thursday at 7 o'clock Norwegian time, which makes it about 2 o'clock New York time. And with that, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!